What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of the Crane Kicks Lex podcast. If you're not watching the video version of this, then you missed out on my sweet, dramatic semi-entrance.
It was so bad.
It was great.
That was like the Zoolander, like
It was
blue.
right.
What is it? Blue
Hit the
Blue
blue
steel.
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 Hit the blue steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, but we're back. I'm just very excited. You know, we had our cool episode last week with Luke Stauffer, but I miss our normal episodes, as cool as those player interviews are, you know, because there's a lot we got to get off our chest, right? And then we have to kind of switch gears a little bit, which it's like a blessing, of course. But it's nice to kind of go back into routine. We're missing Kyle, you know, and it's unfortunate because he can't be here in person for us to talk about his heroics. Saved my life at the game. Showed
And
Nico
our kids.
Campuzano how to catch a ball. It was pretty great off the back post too. So Kyle did his thing. You know, it was coming for me, and like I had one hand full, and the other one I was like, all right, we're just gonna palm it. We're gonna palm it away, and then Kyle just rose out of nowhere and just caught it, and he was ready to go. I think it amped him up big time. So shout out to our hero.
Did you buy him a
Everyone's hero.
beer?
I actually gave him a crisp high five and complimented his catching skills.
Well,
So,
he did more of like a tip off because it was heading towards the kids,
yeah,
and it like went over them.
he got it. He got it. And, you know, he saved us. That's all that matters.
He's the
Kyle, the
real
hero.
player of the
I
match.
think our keepers could learn a thing or two from him. You know.
I actually think he's at keeper training right now. That's why he's not with us. He is right now in keeper training, competing for goalkeeper one. I'm only assuming, I'd imagine, you know, because he's that good.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
so good
listen to
luck,
this and
Kyle.
just be shaking his head.
You know, that's all Kyle does when he listens to me talk. He just shakes his head. It's just like, what are we doing here? Who are you and why are you saying these things? But hey, you know, coming off of this weekend, I feel like it was kind of, you know, nice in some ways that we had that little, like, we'll say it's an off week, because we got a chance to get points for both squads. And now here we are to talk about it. Of course, we got to talk about a little bit more than just those two games, but it is nice to ride that wave a little bit of at least a 2-point weekend from everybody. Let's just like jump in. Let's talk Super League. There were 3 matches since we last got together. It was a little bit of a packed schedule for the ladies, and now they've got this road stretch of 3 games that they've got to get through. Number 1's down, but they got 2 more before we get to finish out the season at home with our last 3 games, which is really nice. I do enjoy that we're getting to finish the season here. These games, first 2, pretty dicey. A little bit more of the same. Like we talked about this a lot on the show, right? Where it's been a little bit of a slump since we had like the couple results at the beginning of this like second half of the season, and then things kind of got carried away from there, and it was just a loss, and a loss, and not even just kind of like shucks, we almost had them. It's been, you know, been getting beat. Like it's been like 3+ goals on us every single game. So
Yeah.
it's really, really tough, really frustrating to try and pull through. And of course, we love this team and we're going to support them no matter what. But you know, you gotta say what it is, and when it is what it is, right? But this weekend we got at least a point out of Brooklyn. Let's kind of like jump into the weeds a little bit about how we're feeling, just about the first pair of losses. So we had a 4-1 loss to Tampa Bay Sun. Then we had a 3-0 loss to Spokane.
Mm-hmm.
And then we capped it off with a 1-1 draw against Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the losses a little bit first. First, I just want to address with our losses, because I got to bring this up. I hate how well Spokane fans show up at our stadium.
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't
my
know
gosh.
if it's Amina Ekic or what, because, you know, she plays for them. She used to play for Racing Louisville. And so I don't know if it's just her fan base dipping down from Louisville and then harassing us. But it's a bummer. I can't stand it because they had nearly as many fans in the stands as we did. And that is painful, especially
Yep.
because they all sat together and they were like this conduit of energy to Spokane. And, you know, we're all scattered throughout the stadium for Lexington, and we're like shouting across the stadium to each other. It's like, you guys ready to chant? And then it kind of comes together in some weird way. But
Mhm.
I don't know. What are our feelings like? Maybe if we just go holistically, let's even include the draw.
Oh man, I don't know. It felt like the season, the spring season was promising for us, going in, and all these results that we've had have been like subpar or par, no wins really. So man, and now we're eliminated from playoffs. Like there's
Yeah, it's
there,
official. They put the E
yeah,
there.
it's official.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like down in the dumps about it, man. And I don't know, like, where do we go from here? Like, do we just try to solidify the roster and the lineup and, try to build around that? Or do we, play the youngins, let them develop? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's definitely disappointing because I'm thinking back to when Dillon and I did our predictions for the season, and
We were high
there,
on them.
yeah, we were, and there
It was good
were
vibes.
several teams that we probably didn't expect to do as well as they have this spring, and I could not have predicted Brooklyn falling as far as they have either.
Yeah,
So
no lie.
Spokane getting what, 5 unbeaten games in a row or 6? I can't
Yeah.
remember. Honestly, like it was
After one of our assistants went there.
ah
Yeah.
Salt in the
yeah,
wound times 10.
right.
And you
Brooklyn,
wonder why they're doing so well.
Mm.
yeah. Well, and then Brooklyn, they have yeah, they haven't had thinking back through listening to what the announcers were saying during the Brooklyn game, like they haven't won any games this spring.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of us, they said between the two of us, only won one game, and that was us against DC in the second game in the spring, and it's
Take that, Brooklyn.
right.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm taking those little wins. I'm like grabbing them out of the tree.
But as they said at the time of the Brooklyn game, we've conceded 49 goals, and then they scored one, so we've conceded 50 goals.
That hurts.
I know, like,
I'm having heart
and
palpitations.
so
I mean, Jessica, you're bringing up such a good point because we've said it all season. The goal scoring was not an issue. It's, goal defending is the issue. If we could just keep on pace the amount of goals we're putting in the net and keeping and reducing the amount we allow in the net, if we just focused on our defense more and let the offense remain the same. I mean, we just
right,
said it all. We just,
but
Yeah.
yeah, but we didn't, and it's unfortunate. And I think what's difficult is, like you touched on, Tyler, is we'll still be out there supporting them no matter what. I think
Yep.
it's
absolutely.
so hard though, going out there and cheering for them while they're struggling so much.
Yeah.
We'll still cheer them on, and we want all the best for them, and I think that's why it's so difficult. And holistically, just thinking about how they made all these roster changes before the spring started, and everyone was so excited, and I feel like that hasn't really panned out either. And so
Yeah.
it just feels a lot like we're throwing spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks, but it's dry spaghetti. So,
Yeah.
obviously it's not.
Yeah.
It's
We
just
haven't let it cook enough.
yeah, it's just
Shattering
about to bite
against the
off
wall.
Yeah,
We haven't
exactly.
we haven't let it boil. We haven't let it
Yeah.
simmer at all. And so
Yeah.
it's so raw.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
I'm liking this
Yeah.
analogy.
And
We got Romans banging down the door, being like, "Stop breaking our spaghetti." Yeah.
And Jessica, you're so right. It's hard to go to the games. It's demoralizing, but
Yeah.
I'm still gonna be there. Like I'm 1,000%
Yes.
still gonna be there. I will still buy my tickets and go. And
Absolutely.
I'm really going now. It's for the players. I want to support
Yep.
them so much. I want to
Exactly.
see them succeed. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I want the players. I'm doing it for them, and that's
100%.
it. And that's it.
Yeah.
It really like I'm hesitant to bring this up, but like it really got to me this past week. I know quite a few people who go to both games, like the men's and the women's side, and they were like, "We're probably not going to go to another women's game the rest of the year." And I was like, "Oh,
No,
please don't say
no,
that." I'm like, "You got
don't
to
do
come out
that.
because I know." And like, I understand from like not everybody's going to be, bleeding green day in day night, like Incredible Hulk out here like we are, but at the same time and just like they need that. And I think that's just kind of part of where we are too. That we've said this before with like UK. You'll see like UK even kind of experience a little bit of a dip when they're not doing super hot. And people are insane about UK basketball here. But I think that it's getting to that level, and I absolutely hate it because like you said, Dylan, like the players. I want them to have support so bad. I know the season is kind of like it is what it is at this point, but they're still people and they still deserve that support and they still chose to play here. And not a
Yeah,
single one of them is just going out there going through the motions. I don't believe that.
right.
I think that things haven't gone our way and things have not synced up the way that they were hoped to have synced up. But I don't for a minute doubt anybody's commitment on the team.
Mhm.
And maybe they just had me really, really fooled. I don't know, but I don't think that's the case at all. Like because we've interacted with them and they're all very genuine people, and they've all expressed that they really, really want to do right by our city, and the
Mhm.
cards just not have not fallen our way, and it sucks. I hate it, and all I wanted was for all these players to do amazing this year, for us to rub it in the face of all the naysayers because there were a lot of them. There were a few that I was just like,
Mhm.
no, you're crazy. We'll show you guys. It'll be fine. This is a really great group, and now we're doing it for the vibes. And we're trying to get the
Yeah.
vibes high again.
Right.
It's just tough. It's just tough because we don't have a whole lot right now to fuel those vibes.
Mhm.
I'll kind of like switch it up on you guys a little. So like thinking of the Brooklyn one, even okay, we get a draw. So psyched for that draw. I mean, Jessica was sitting there with her phone in the stands while we're at the men's game, and she's like, "Okay, check this out." She pulled it up right when we scored, right before the
Yeah.
match, and we were like celebrating out there in the concourse. And then, at halftime, she had it pulled up, and we were watching again, and it was really exciting to see us get on the sheet first. I was
Yeah.
really excited that we held them. I know they ended up scoring a goal, but I thought that we did really well, especially when I got a chance to actually watch the game intently later. I feel defensively we did solid.
Mhm.
It's also one of those things where I'm hesitant to get too psyched, and I'm very optimistic, but I'm hesitant to get too psyched because Brooklyn is down in the dumps.
Yeah.
Even worse than we are. They just had the benefit of a really amazing first half of the year.
Mhm.
More so than us, obviously, because of their standing still being what it is, despite them going through this horrendous run of form. Um, so I'm like, huh, was that just a matter of us playing a team that's on par or worse, or are we actually going to like kind of figure these things out? So I don't know. I'm curious, and we can even get into like some of the lineup changes here too, like seeing Grace, for instance, starting, which we've been like begging for. Like I think every Lexington fan's been like, "Where's Grace? Grace has done great every time she's played."
Mhm.
Where do you guys stand after this Brooklyn tie? Does that like ease a little bit of the pain? Do we feel like okay, maybe there could be a momentum to be had, or jury's still out?
I still believe that they're going to go out there and fight.
Yeah.
Like you were
Oh yeah.
saying, Tyler, they're not going to quit. Um, but I don't know if I'm like getting too psyched about it. Like I know, we're going to play Dallas, and that's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
really worry about that.
Mhm.
And I think the one goal that we did let in was kind of one of the signature, like kind of silly mistakes that we
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
And I think Skiba had a really good game. She made a lot of really good saves
I'd
and
agree.
was, maybe player of the match in a way. But her silly mistake on the goal, that allowed the goal, is also, kind of the
Mhm.
downfall of it. So I don't know. I think we just really need to tighten up the game because everything is so sloppy still. Like every pass feels so hectic, and we wait on the ball too much. We allow defenders to close in so quickly, and we need to turn our bodies quickly and make those passes very quickly. But we're just not doing that. So I don't know. Like you know, I think anything can happen when the team is with a back against their wall. So you never know.
Hmm.
Yeah, fair.
And I think a challenge too is so many of our starters, our usual starters, are injured right now.
Yeah,
Like as the commentators mentioned, 8 of them. We have 8 injuries. Like that's
that's a
a
great
lot.
point. Yeah,
And yeah, it's a lot of our people that normally start, like Hannah Richardson, Autumn Weeks, Courtney Jones,
Claire Winter.
yeah,
Yeah,
Claire Winter, Corey Sullivan. Pretty, we're we're kind of like, so in that sense, like obviously we have a lot of skill in the players that we are playing, but does that would that kind of mean we're essentially playing our B team almost?
and
I don't know.
that's a good question because it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what our B team is because we've made so many changes and adjustments. It's
Right.
like, is there even really a B team in some respects? Because like there's just been so much flip flopping through the roster, and I know there's been injuries, there's been national duty call ups, there's been all kinds of factors at play. But it's we've said this before. It's just kind of hard to figure out
Yeah.
what exactly is our considered our core. And of course a lot of fans have an
Right.
idea of like who our core is, but sometimes that doesn't align with the coaching core. And
Yeah.
there's another point of contention. I For me, like I said, I'm a little hesitant going ahead and ringing the bell and being like, all right, couple more road matches, it's a lock. I do think, as we said, they're going to stay fighting and it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I want us to continue to just go after it. I
Yeah.
do enjoy that we saw things like Grace Wisniewski getting in there. I feel like she's been weirdly underused, and I'm not in trainings. I don't know, but I feel like all those times that we subbed her in matches, we saw some great things.
Always.
Hmm.
And I thought she had a good game with this too. She was solid. Um, so I'm curious what our lineup continues to look like, or how it continues to evolve, or if we do get some people that are healthy before everything's all said and done, and what
Hmm.
that ends up looking like for us.
Hmm.
So I guess like thinking about availability in the game against Brooklyn, we saw our 2 academy players available. They both played in the match. So Macy Barlow was in. Emma Johnson, we've seen quite a bit of her here recently, but she was
Hmm.
in again. I know we were talking in the Crane Kick Selects Discord with some people. There's some conversation about, okay, well, do we play our academy kids more and try and get them some more development? Do we go 1,000,000% full strength? This is our max starting lineup. Not saying that those 2 academy players don't have skills to be out there, right? But um, I guess in our minds, what would be our preference, considering the fact that we're eliminated, considering the fact that we've struggled anyway, no matter who we tend to put out there? Are we looking at like, okay, we've got a couple academy players, let's see if we can get them some developmental time, like maybe some minutes that enhance their game before the season's all said and done? And it's very low pressure in that regard, because it's not like, oh man, we lost the game and you were on the field and now we're doomed. We're not going to make the playoffs, right? I don't know. What are our thoughts on that?
Um, I don't know. I understand giving minutes, but there's part of me too that still wants to put, not saying that they're not skilled, but still wanting to put our best foot forward with the games,
Mm-hmm.
and be can and be bring more of a challenge. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. My preference, this is my preference. This is not going to happen, right? But this is my preference, like you asked, Tyler, is to play people who we would want to have in our starting core for next season.
Mm,
Yeah. Yep. That would be
that's true.
ideal, right? Because then you get them meshing better together. Like that.
Yeah,
That's what you would want, and that's what you would hope.
get a head start.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm very very torn on this. It's I kind of already hinted at it. If we have people that are in our academy that are perceived as possibly our future in this program, I'd love to see them get some minutes and do their thing. Um, I think that maybe like subs would be a good spot in a lot of ways. Just seeing what they can do at the later half of the game. Hopefully, by that point, we have some goals. But here lately, that's been a little bit of a struggle. I will say, as much as I like really, really like us having academy players feature on the Super League team, I also kind of feel like that's a little bit of why we have our W League team as well, though. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I think that's a really great first stepping stone for a
Hmm.
lot of players that are young and trying to break into this. And some players are ready. Some players, you look at them and you're like, all right, yeah, you're young. Let's go for it. Plenty of USLC and Super League teams are doing that. They're putting out 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kids, and they're performing well. Um, I guess I'm a little bit more of like a cautious person, and I'm like, let's kind of give them some stepping stones to
Yeah.
reach that, because all I think back to is like that time that we put in Luke Phillips in the last moments of a game, and then the game went sideways, and then it just kind of looked like it crushed Luke. And
Mm,
I know that maybe the pressure's not quite as on, and I'm not saying they couldn't handle it because everybody's different, but um, yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with how much you lean on your young players if they're trying to kind of find themselves in the game and
mhm.
get to where they need to be. I don't hate the idea at all of seeing them out there though, but I'd
Yeah.
really like for us to just do like kind of similar to what Dylan said. If we have an idea of like this is going to be who we plan to lean on in the future, then you lean heavily. But who knows who that is?
I
You know,
mean, like on that point too, Tyler,
mm-hmm.
if that long term means those youth players that we're talking about, I would like
Yep,
to see them in the starting
yeah,
lineup. And, if we do want to see them long term, if that is
mm-hmm.
actually a goal in mind that we have for them, then yeah, I
Yeah.
do want to see them on the field.
Right. Exactly.
Mm,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's when you're justified in doing those things is if you have a plan and that they're potentially part of that plan. Because I think they've done well when they've been on the field. We haven't seen quite as much of Macy as we have of Emma Johnson. Emma Johnson, obviously super talented. Just like a lot of our players are. It's just I feel like our team is just in a really weird, tricky situation. This is the
yeah.
first time where I just feel like I'm not always sure what I'm going to see game to game from a
Hmm.
personnel standpoint or even from how we're going to play.
Yeah.
It almost feels like we've seen not even just player wise, but style. I feel like we've seen like 3 to 4 different teams this season, and some have worked better than others. And it kind of harkens back to what you had said, Dylan. Like our offense wasn't really broken. It was we were scoring just as many goals as the top teams in the league, if not more. For a long time, we were the top scoring team in the league. We were just letting in way too many goals. And
Hmm.
then we went out and they're like, guess what? We got new attackers. And you're like, okay, okay, I guess we're just gonna score 40 goals a match to make up the difference. And it's tricky because that's not realistic. And I will say, I was really pleased with our defense in the most recent match. I feel like
Hmm.
they played really strong. All the players on the back line were doing really, really good. Julie Mackin, she wasn't in the player of the match poll that we put out because it was a tough choice. There were players that had lots of impact on the game, but I feel like she did a great job shutting down the right side. Like she kept showing that player that was running down the right side out every single time, it felt like, which was really good.
Hmm.
Maddie Parsons was, doing her thing, dropping back and helping defensively. She won like 11 duels or something, which not all were defensive duels, but, she was helping out in that way. Maddie Perez, she did really good. She had a great game. And then, of course, she had her like signature set piece. In this case, hockey assist. Trinity Watson, I think, had her best game so far from what we've seen from her. I feel like she was really dynamic in that back line. So, a lot
Hmm.
of really, really good things. It's just tough to pin down where we're going to be. And Dallas is kind of scary for us. Both times they've dropped 3+ goals. One time they beat us, it was 6 goals they scored. The other time it was 3. And we're not the only team they've been doing that to. So it's not even just like there are specific kryptonite. They've been going around doing that type of thing to lots of teams, especially here lately, ever since we came back from the break. So, there's, I think, some deserved trepidation about what's going to happen this round.
So there were a couple comments that the commentators made during the Brooklyn game that I thought, kind of resonated. And it's unfortunate, but I feel like it's also kind of true, is they said that we don't have a lot of creativity in the offense. Like there was one point where we were just they were all just like running together in a straight line, and they're like, okay, so how do you really make a play out of that? And then there was one where Trinity, we had a free kick, and she like booted it, and there was nobody there. And I feel like there are times when we can have a lot of aggression and put a lot of pressure to try and score, and it falls flat.
Yeah.
And they also, and another one is, they said they spoke with Stocks and at one point before the game, and he had made a comment about had mentioned with Maddie Parsons how he's moved her into a different position, more on the wings, because when she was at the top center striker position, he felt like she floated too much. But I feel like that's kind of odd so I don't completely agree with that. But that he liked her better in the position he's had her in recently, which I don't know. Like we've had just the way it's been set up has not been working at all. And I'm not and I'm sorry. I don't.
No, you're good.
Just to finish the thought, otherwise.
Yeah. No, you're good.
And I know a lot of the conversations, we seem pretty biased towards Maddie Parsons, but at the same time, one comment they made is she hasn't scored a goal since November, but she's still the highest scorer for our team.
Yeah.
That should say something. And I think Hannah White, sorry, I'm like going off on my tangent.
No, you're good. No, this is good.
Hannah White and like the new players that we've signed, like Mate Lopez,
Kate Doyle,
Nicole Vernis, Hannah White, like we've had them in those, like we've been using them a lot, but it just hasn't converted into anything. And sorry, like soapbox there. So then making those comments, it's just like, yeah, like I feel like everybody else is seeing something that the coaching staff isn't, and I know we only have a few more games to try and I just don't want to finish last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to keep fighting. I still think we should try out some other things, because what we're doing isn't working. And I know that's kind of what we've been saying this whole time, but I just had to get that out there. Get that off my chest.
It's perfect.
Yeah, like a few episodes ago, I said coaching malpractice, and it still reigns true.
And you are spot on. I was just like, yes, Jessica, these are the words. Good job. Yes, because for real though, and I don't know if you guys noticed too, but like it's so funny because like you mentioned the part about Stock saying, we moved her outside because she's floating. And then partway through the game against Brooklyn, they moved her back inside, made her switch with Lopez. And then all of a sudden, and I know it was a set piece, but then we scored. But I just thought it was funny because it was like, finally, we made them swap, or they chose to swap, or something happened where they changed it up. And I just feel like looking at their skill set, it makes more sense, like you had mentioned. Like,
yeah. And that's not to say they're not skilled. That's not to say, I mean, Kate Doyle, Hannah White, Nicole Vernis, like they they are skilled. I think we're just not utilizing them in the way that we want it to click.
Yeah, 100%. And it just seems strange. Like I'm like, why? And I think that switch that was partway through the game, it showed like a little bit of recognition, and I just feel like sometimes we're just fighting the obvious out on our squad. But like
I'm sorry, I laugh because it's so obvious. Like
yeah,
it's so obvious that it's right in front of our face. Why aren't we doing anything about it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And again, you always have to do like the whole we're not in training, we're not in this, or you know what I mean? There's
Right.
factors that
Yeah.
maybe we're not privy to, but like if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? It's
Yes.
it's so simple, and you just keep going back to like before the break and how like yes, we stumbled, we were not a perfect team. We had like our stretches where we're just like, oh my gosh, please, Mike Dickey, save us, like do something, dude. And you know, it was frustrating, but we still had our glimmers of hope that would appear just enough to make us be like, okay, we're still in this. And now like those glimmers are fading quick. And I don't necessarily think that it's just all on the player. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
there's something else going on here. It's like we had a formula and then we just threw the formula in the trash and we're like, you know what, let's just start fresh. And it's like, well, sometimes you have to refine a recipe. You don't just decide that you don't like it. But
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right. Well, and I know like Hannah White and Nicole Burness, like, yep, there's my pup in the
puppy
background.
dog.
I know like they have scored a couple goals between them, so like they are getting results too. It's just, yeah, it's tough looking at the results we've been getting and thinking, okay, we need to switch it up. We need to change it. It's just not clicking, and we only have a few games left. 5 games, and so, like you said, Dillon is looking into next season, but at the same time, we're also thinking about, okay, the men. We thought we'd get a lot of returning players, and
We just
so
didn't.
there's
We
just
already know. We
there's a
already know
lot
their
of
strategy.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of unpredictability, and as much as uh, there are players that we hope to see next season, there's just no guarantee.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we might be disappointed just based off the club's current track record.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's been like year after year. It's like, hey, you really enjoy this player? And we're like, yeah, we do. And they're like, well, you're gonna have to follow him somewhere else. So, it's been a bummer, but it's true. And I mean,
Yeah.
you're probably not wrong. Like considering the season that we had, this has been a much tougher season than any of the ones we've experienced with our other, seasons with our other team. Club does what it does. And it's a really hard truth. But
I think what's more infuriating about like this season comparatively to the like men's season is I feel like there's way more pieces that we can build around on this women's team.
there are definitely some solid people.
Okay. You were referring to players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, if only if we could all just like mark down our list and be like, this is our wish list and you will keep them. Or I will be mad and write a strongly lettered word to your manager.
A lettered word.
Strongly lettered word. Strongly worded letter.
I mean,
words are dumb. Don't make fun of me, Jessica.
Sounds
I mean,
a librarian.
I'm logging off. I'm logging off. I'm out here. I'm going.
Tyler, you mentioned, someone was saying
Hey.
earlier that, they're probably not going to come to any of the women's matches anymore. And like, it doesn't help that there's going to be like turnover of the roster, right? Like you need fans to have recognizable faces, and especially the the players who always go up to fans after the games
Oh yeah.
and sign autographs and interact with the fans and the kids and stuff. Like, you just really need that. You need those good vibes, and also those are usually some quality players. So
Yeah, definitely. I was wondering, you stayed off so long. I was like, did he actually leave?
It's right to
Gosh.
shut it down. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, yo. I don't know. Support must happen, no matter what.
Yeah.
Support. We just gotta do it in whatever way is good to you, and no judgment though. If people aren't coming because they feel like it's just a tough one to deal with, that's totally up to them. I wish it was different, and I would love to have everybody there with Jessica, Dillon, myself, the railbirds that make it, and the other people that are there. But it'll build. It'll get there. It's just a shame that it's not there this season, and yeah, we can only do what we can.
Yep.
All right, let's shift gears from like kind of the a little bit before we talk about the men's team and the two recent results that we've not gotten a chance to talk about since before the interview with Luke Stauffer. Let's do like a little check-in with all of our loaned out players, all 400 of them. 465. Sorry, I had to be more precise. So everybody that we have sent off into the nether realm and said, go forth and spread the legend of Lexington Sporting Club, infect them all with green, and lay glory wherever you tread. I don't know. It was a strategy for sure. So we got a lot of loanees out, just to suffice to say. So these are going to be kind of quick because not everybody's getting like tons of consistent minutes. That's okay. I'm sure it'll come, and teams need what they need, and they need them when they need them. So we have Josh Ramsey, which is one of those players, because he's not one of last year's players, sometimes falls to the back of the mind. You know what I mean? Because we didn't even see him. Like, he was gone the moment that he was announced. They're like, guess what? You want a defender, Josh Ramsey, coming in from Notre Dame? And then they're like, oh, actually, he's not going to be here.
We saw on Instagram first that he was in Omaha. And he had he posted the little owl, and I was like, well, I guess he's gone.
Like, that's weird. That's not a horse. He is in Omaha, and he's not gotten a ton of minutes. He's been on the bench for 4 games, a couple of Open Cup matches, a couple of league matches. I think he made it in for a brief moment in one of the matches for the Open Cup, but not a lot of action going on for Josh Ramsey. Hopefully he gets some minutes, because that'd be great if we're going to loan somebody out to actually see them, develop and kind of refine, which I'm sure he'll get a lot of that in training and being around strong mentors, because Omaha is, perennially a good team. They're doing great constantly, so he'll get it. Kimball Jackson, so another one of our guys. So actually a year one of the few year ones that we had left. He's down in Chattanooga playing for the Red Wolves, not the other Chattanooga. Oh, they're going to come for me now. I don't think a lot of people realize how much there's like this weird like Chattanooga versus Chattanooga thing, but we'll say, yeah, not that. Don't come for me, Chattanooga. So he's there. He's appeared in some matches for them. He had a really good Open Cup game recently. He's been doing solid on the team and getting really consistent minutes, playing, at least like 60-ish, if not more. So lots of good development. I love to see that. That's one of those players that I know we had said last year we wished that he had been used more. He's young. He has a lot of potential. He's talented. So I'm really, really glad that Chattanooga is leaning on him a lot and getting him those opportunities. He had
that goal line clearance too.
Yes. I know, very Kalen Fox-esque, come flying in there, knocking it out. And it was against Alfredo, wasn't it? Medins?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
It was LSC on LSC crime.
Green on green.
Yeah, for real. That was kind of funny. Then we got the Truth. The Truth is out there. And he is in Detroit, and he's doing good.
The Truth is out there.
I knew you'd like that. if anything, I'm good for saying dumb stuff that keeps us laughing. He's doing solid, man. He actually had like a FOT Mob player of the match score, and like I know it wasn't necessarily their official for the team. This is our player of the match, but it's still cool to see those whenever they played Westchester in League One. So, and that was in the Open Cup. But he's been doing good. He's been getting some minutes. That particular match where he got player of the match was actually his largest chunk of minutes in a match. He had like 89, so he was in the match almost the whole way. Otherwise, he's been getting kind of like little spurts of minutes as like a super sub at the end. So I'd love to see him take off even more and do some damage while he's with Detroit, just not against us when we play them later this year. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of like I'm mulling over potentially going and seeing us play Detroit in Detroit. But, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things all pan out because I miss Artes. Man, I miss him. Then we have Nico. Nico is like perpetually starting for Madison. He's up in Madison.
I hate it.
I hate it too.
I love it, but I hate it.
Love it for him, hate it for us.
Yeah.
I just want to save him from those flamingo noises that they make on corners.
Do you think he wears earplugs?
I would. Maybe he feels like it's rude though, and Nico's too nice of a guy to give off those vibes. So he's probably like, yeah, guys, I love these flamingo noises. They're super great, and they help me concentrate whenever I'm playing soccer. So, maybe that's what it is. But he's been doing really, really good. Like I said, he's been a consistent starter for them, getting plenty of minutes, making some good impacts up that way. So I hope Nico continues to do great. I know he's gotten really close to getting some assists and some goals under his belt. I've seen a few plays of his that I was like, oh my gosh, that's some good Nico action right there. I'm ready to see that goal
vintage
or that score
Nico
sheet.
Brown.
Say Nico Brown. Yeah. Straight sevens. Right. And then Azad Liati, he's up in our new team for USL 1. He's up playing for Portland Hearts of Pine. He's doing his thing there.
He had a good start in the USOC game, although he did get the red card.
The double yellow that he got.
Yeah. But overall, like they're pretty low on the table right now, right?
Yeah. They're kind of having a little bit of that new club syndrome, which most teams are in League One, except for I forget who's like sitting up pretty high. There's one of the new teams that's
Westchester, right?
No, I don't think it's Westchester. I think we got somebody else in
I saw
League
blue.
One.
Might be. I'm getting confused.
Let's see. Bear with me. Naples.
Table.
It's Naples. That's right.
Yeah.
Naples, featuring former LSC player that disappeared mysteriously and then reappeared, Jaden Onan. So he's down there rocking with them. But Azad, he's doing pretty fair with a little bit of a struggling team. We already brought up Alfredo Medence. He is out there as well playing for Charlotte Independence. Dude's been tearing it up. He got an assist in his most recent game, which is really, really awesome. And I just love watching him play.
I do too.
There's a huge chunk of me, and I know it exists with you all too, that I'm just like, could we not have just hung on to him just to see what he could do outside of Open Cup, just to test the waters, and then kind of, make a decision from there. Make a decision. Just tell Charlotte, like, hey, hold on. Give us a little bit of a test drive before we let him go driving off the lot with you. But that's okay. It is what it is. I'm glad that he's doing really great. And, that's the beauty of loans. Might come back sooner than we think. And then another player that we signed and we never actually laid eyes on, it was like, hey, guys, check it. It's way by. So Malik Henry Scott, he is playing for Huntsville City FC. He recently also had an assist in his game against Chicago Fire FC2. Overall, pretty limited minutes for him. I think his most that he got was like 27 minutes against Chattanooga FC, the other Chattanooga that I mentioned earlier. Wait, I did the thing again. Now they're going to come for me. And then besides that, it's been 10 or under. So hopefully he'll start to kind of pick up steam and do his thing, get a little bit more features. So there's our entire rundown. That was 40 minutes of our show because we have so many loanees. And I probably forgot one because there's probably two more that I forgot about.
No, but I think you got them all.
think it is cool that we have a lot of players getting opportunities out there, and that based on those performances, we could find ourselves recalling them at some points, and maybe they kind of reinforce areas that we feel like need reinforcement. But in the meantime, I hope they do their thing, and I hope they really ball out, because you never know. We have some loanees of our own, and so we could find ourselves in a moment where somebody's like, "Hey, guess what? That loanee's doing great. We'd like them back," and then we have to kind of pull ours back, and then do a bunch of rearranging, refiguring things out. But it's all good. Who's the loanee that you guys wish we had right now? This is on the spot.
Shoot.
Wow. It's hard
Man,
to pick.
why? I know.
My gut instinct was Medence. I would like to have him back, but my heart wants
Says
Artez
Nico.
back.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Nico.
I mean, we're all always going to say Nico and Artez. It's true. I mean, like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to see what they could do in this? I mean, I think those are my top three, though, too. Like Nico, Artez, Medence, just to kind of see what they could do in this setup. Medence, we had a really exciting USOC match that we saw from him, and so it's hard not to think he could probably do some serious damage if he was with us. I think with like Nico and Artez, it's like I know they saw some preseason action, but I would really, really like to see them whip something up in this new team and just see what type of dynamic they would have, and if that would take them to the next level.
Yeah.
That there's that curiosity in my brain of like, but what if they were involved? Like, what would their game look like now if they were already doing so well before, and at a League One level with the teams that we had that were good, but we also had our moments of struggle. So, yeah, my brain is real locked in on that.
Imagine a world with Corey Burke and Artez Diouf on the field.
Oh
My gosh. Well, and my favorite thing with Artez, and we'll kind of maybe get into this later, and my number one reason why I feel like, man, he could really be a game changer is he shoots the ball.
Yes.
Yes.
He is not afraid to let it rip. Artez Diouf, if there's nothing else, it's that. He will let that shot rip no matter where he's at. He'll see that moment and he's just like, let's go. And yeah, granted, sometimes he would do a little bit of like, I'm going to kind of run across the front of goal for a little too long, but then he would always end with a shot, at least. He would take that shot, take that chance. And like I said, we'll get into that, but I think every team could use somebody that does that.
Well, and I think the challenge for me picking one of our loanees to, bring back and see on the field is I feel like the starting lineup that we have currently, they have a lot of chemistry.
Yeah, that's fair.
They, watching them play, I feel like they are really in sync. With how they move the ball up the field. And so, I mean, not to say that bringing the like Artez or Nico or Alfredo back, that they couldn't, work their way into that, but just based off what we've seen so far, they're the current team. They do work really well together.
I'd agree with that. Let's kind of like use that as a shifting point with our new team and start talking about these recent men's matches, the pair of draws that we had. So 2-0-0 results. Jessica, you mentioned chemistry with this team. Before we really get into these two games, I think that one of the really important ways that chemistry has shown itself is we had those matches where we were a little critical of our defensive efforts, and we're going to like, what's going on with this? Like, defense has kind of been caught lacking a few times out on the field, and we paid for it. And I think these past two matches, they righted that ship. If there's anything I can take away from like the past two matches, is it just felt very good defensively. And I don't think that you make those adjustments without everybody being on the same page and being like, okay, here's what we're doing. Now here's what needs to change. And how can we all make this happen together? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's been really important because it's not just like the back line, right? It's everybody. There's that whole thing. It's like, there are technically, 10 defenders on the field before you get to the keeper. And so it's not just that all of a sudden, like our defenders were like, all right, guys, let's pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and let's do the thing. But overall, like looking at these two games, the Las Vegas Lights game, which was the first 0-0 draw, and then of course we played off against Monterey Bay this past weekend. We had a little bit of a homecoming for Nico Campuzano, which Lexington fans of yore, Lexington fans of yore. There's a good vocab term for us. Nico Campuzano gives us all a little bit of like a. Jump scare. We're like, oh no, Vermont Green. And there have been a couple other times where we had to go into a match and it did not go so hot, right? And I think that in a lot of ways, Nico ended up being viewed as like somebody we couldn't rely upon here. But I also think that it was a matter of like our defense may have let him down a few times as well. If you really like look at it with a clear head and you watch those moments, there's more to it than that. This year, all of a sudden, he's just getting like save of the week every week. He had some wild saves against us, so I don't know what's up, but he's in his form, and I don't know. I don't think he's leaving it anytime soon. It doesn't seem like it's been a pretty long stretch. How do we feel after going through those losses we had, and now we managed to pull off a couple of scoreless draws?
For me, I think with Las Vegas, knowing where they are on the table, I think we should have won that game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember now, but I feel like when watching that, it felt a little sloppy at times. And yeah, I think that's one that we should have pulled away with a win. Just but we just weren't playing as well. And Monterey Bay, which we'll probably talk about, the goal that should have been that was stolen from us. I think the fact that they're number one and we held them to a scoreless draw speaks to how different we played. So it feels the same because they were scoreless draws, but at the same time, skill wise, I think we played better against Monterey Bay than we did against Las Vegas.
I'd agree with that. And like, I think with Las Vegas too, you talked about how we had some sloppy moments. I think we were able to get away with those because Las Vegas is very defensive compared to a lot of other teams. And so like they didn't really come after us quite as hard as other teams had. I mean, I think they only had like 4 shots in the whole game and only 1 was on target. And otherwise they were just trying to like stem the flow of us trying to move up field. So yeah, that's a fair point.
And didn't we dominate possession that game? It was
62% was us.
Yeah, we dominated possession. There's no reason we shouldn't have won.
No.
What do you think, Dillon?
Yeah, pretty much the same as you guys. Like defensively, it's nice to start to button things up and keep goals out. But we need to start scoring more.
Yeah. 100%.
I'd agree. I mean, and that was kind of something I was gonna, talk to you guys about is just like what needs to be tweaked. And I think like 3-ish weeks ago, I would have for sure said defense needs to get back in order because I think our defense all of a sudden had this weird slump and they just couldn't figure things out. And now it feels better. I feel better about like what we're doing, including on set pieces. I feel like we're doing the right things on set pieces. I feel like we're doing the right thing in open play. At least like, I mean, I thought it was a really good performance from them whenever we played Monterey Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Now it kind of re-highlights that we're not scoring goals. And that's been a multi-week thing. We're not scoring enough goals.
Right.
And I feel like we have such a talented group that it's kind of strange for that to be happening. In a lot of ways, it is juxtaposed with last year's squad, right? Where everybody was like, check out this scoring threat, check out this scoring threat, check out this scoring threat. And then sometimes we would have these droughts and then we're experiencing that again. And I don't know that I feel like it's a talent issue at all. I just think it's like this weird thing. and we were talking about this, all three of us, where we just won't shoot the ball. We just won't. We want the perfect window, the perfect opportunity. It has to be like red carpet laid out. We got the butler coming up with like the hand towel. I mean, like, here you go, and they wipe off the ball for us, and then we kick it in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like just some of these times, just kick it, just
Yeah.
instinctual, just kick the ball. And if anything, worst case scenario, you keep the defense and the keeper honest because they realize like, oh man, they're just going to take some like really off the wall
Yeah.
shots, and one of these is going to go in on me because I'm not going to expect it because they're just letting it rip. Versus us, like I think it was even this past game with Monterey Bay where I remember us just passing the ball back and forth at the top of their box for like the longest time. And I think even the crowd was starting to be like, what is happening? There were some
Yeah.
audible groans. Like, why
Like,
don't
oh
we
my
just shoot it?
gosh. Yeah.
Yes. It's like, how many times can we go across the front of goal before we just decide to take a shot? And I don't know why that is, because I don't think it's a confidence thing. These guys all seem like very confident, competent players. But again, it's almost like somebody told them somewhere, you don't waste your shots. It has to be perfect. And I'm just like, just shoot.
So the slowest thing on a soccer pitch is someone who has the ball, someone dribbling with the ball.
Right.
And once you get the ball, you become the slowest person. So that is giving the people who are faster than you, the people without the ball, more time to get to you and,
Yeah.
get around you. So the more time you have with the ball and the more time you spend playing around, with it, the more time it gives the defense and, free people to cover you, and you're not doing anything with it, and so you just pass it off to someone else. So we just need to be way faster and take shots. Like, you can't just keep passing the ball around like it's not a kick around.
Yeah. I agree. I saw like I think you guys, because where you're right there with me, you can agree to this. There were like many times where like Braudilio, like I mean, granted, he was under pressure. I will say a lot of times he was under pressure, but he had the ball and he would make a sweet move on the defender and open up space where if he had just kicked it, it would have been on target. None like whatever else happened, it would have been on target, and that would have been fine with me. Kieran had a couple like little tight windows where he was coming across the edge where I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude, don't cross it, just shoot, just do it, see if you can get him, like just shoot the ball. Like Sophie had one at the top of the box where there was a big old lane for him to shoot, and then I feel like he thought about it. I feel like he did because he looked in that lane, and then all of a sudden he looked to his right and then passed it. And I was just like, you guys. So whenever like Speedy took that shot from, far out from the top of the box, and like the whole crowd was like, yes, like, let's go, Speedy, because
like
he just went, and I think we just need a little bit more of that type of thing. And
the chances that we do create, though, we need to make sure that we are finishing on as well, because in the 33rd minute, Firmino got the ball like right in the box, and he took a shot, and it was not on target. And like I don't know if someone else would have gotten it, but it was just like not his best shot. He could have definitely got a goal there. And also on the set piece in the 42nd minute, Braudilio, I feel like he should have had that in. Like, he was really close, really reaching in there. I think he should have had it. Like, he was really close.
He was battling.
So, yeah.
Well, and then we saw Burke in the USOC game where he just made that awesome goal, where he just ran right through the ball, and and maybe it's just because we were going against a team that wasn't as good, and so he was able to do something like that. But I feel like we got so excited. It was the first time we've seen him play. He makes this awesome goal, and we haven't really has he scored since? And honestly, I can't remember. Like, I'd have to go, but maybe, I don't know. Has he?
I think he has.
Yeah. Okay. But either way, like,
you want more.
So, yeah, someone we've really been counting on to get those results. It's somewhat been falling flat a little bit because we're not taking shots.
Yeah.
And they can have all the skill and footwork and whatnot, but if we're not shooting the dang ball,
Yeah.
And I think there was one he did try to make during the game on Saturday, but it was just way it was just way off, and it was kind of like, one I
Right.
feel like could have possibly gone in, but maybe just how it hit his foot or whatever. But I don't know. It's
Yeah.
frustrating.
And I will give the team credit. I mean, we had like 15 shots
Oh
against
yeah.
Monterey Bay, 4 were on goal. But I just think that the trend has said that we don't take shots, and that's why we're bringing this up, because in general we're not shooting in what feels like a good shooting opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
we're taking shots, but it's not always like shots where it's like, this would be it, you all. You pass the ball in front of their goal 42 times just now in this one sequence. Like, somebody just has to do it. Somebody just has to say, you know what? I know this is a tight window, but let's see what I can do, and just trust in your ability, and just get it done. And you raise a good point, Jessica, because it's just, we have really great skill when it comes to breaking into the final third. Like, we are living in the final third essentially. And then for us to not have the amount of goals that we should have, it is kind of a bummer. It's at that point you need to start thinking like, okay, what do we need to change about this? Because penetrating into the attacking third, check, we got that. We're doing it all game, every game, no matter who we're up against. But there's got to be some weird common denominator as to why we're not making those goals actually happen when we're there. And so that, in a lot of ways, I feel like a lot of people would agree, and I think you guys feel this too. Like, that's what we really need to clean up at this point, is just making those chances actually count, doing something with it. Because in my brain, we should be one of the top teams just based on how we take it to other teams constantly. Like, there's no way we should be sitting where we are based on those things alone.
Yeah.
For the record, Burke only has 2 goals. So yeah, it's the
Okay.
goal you were talking about, and I think he in like the following game he had another goal.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
he only has 2. And
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at the stats. That's how I build this out. And there's just like a common theme. Like, good teams have people who have multiple people on the list of like goal leaders with at least multiple goals. We don't. Like, there are 4 people from Monterey Bay alone on this list. So
Mm-hmm.
that just goes to show you we're not putting the ball in the net, and which goes back to the point of we don't shoot the ball. You can't put the ball in the net if you don't shoot it.
Yeah, it's true. So I there's things that could be changed.
Speaking of goals.
Speaking of goal, look at that segue. That was like butter, Jessica. That was perfect. Yeah, that was great.
So I watched the replay.
Mm-hmm.
The goal against Monterey. I don't know what the ref saw. I didn't see anything.
I'm assuming that on the field they thought Goldthorpe touched it, which doesn't matter because he wasn't offside anyway.
He wasn't offside.
Because, and I'll tell you, because on FOTMob, when FOTMob gave the goal, it said that Goldthorpe scored. So that's how it was ruled. So then the line judges must have thought he was offside, but that is not even true. So it's really Dukin's goal, and he was onside. And, if you watch the replay, like the full game replay, the announcers even say that like the refs got it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was another thought that maybe Goldthorpe was impeding Campazano's.
Yeah.
That maybe he was impeding. I don't see how that was a possibility.
No.
And
Bogus.
he was onside. That goal should have counted. A lot of people from what I was observing after the game too, were also not happy with how long it took the refs
Oh my gosh.
to decide.
Yes.
Like,
It was forever. They did our
yeah,
whole light show and like Railbirds Pop Smoke, and it was like 30 minutes. It felt like eternity. And then they were just like,
yeah,
just kidding. After we had gone through all the motions, like
Yeah, they
yeah,
let
if
everyone celebrate. It was
if you're
silly.
really that sure, you should have called it much quicker than that. That
yeah.
tells me that you weren't sure, and you
And
should
you
have just
should
let
have
the
let
goal
it
stand.
count. Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
I even had somebody from Monterey, like a Monterey Bay fan, message me unsolicited after the game and be like, "We got away with one there. We got it." Like because it's true. Like, and it is refreshing to hear another fan be like, "Look, I'll be real about it." You know what I mean? Because so many fans, you'll go somewhere and they'll be like, "Cry about it," and it's like, but be real for a second here.
Yeah.
Was that not bogus? And he's just like, I'm sorry, man." He's like, it's good for us, but yeah, that was definitely a goal, and it stinks because I feel like that's kind of the story of us. And any team could probably say that. Every team's had those moments where it's like we were totally ripped off. But obviously I follow our string of being ripped off, and they
It
hurt each
almost,
time.
yeah, it's starting to feel a little personal. Like,
Yeah.
like who has something against us and not wanting us to succeed? Because it really does. Like,
Yes.
whether it's fouls called, goals
Hmm.
taken back, like it seems like it's too much to be coincidence.
I agree.
I mean, obviously, there's no way to guarantee, like, or to prove anything, but gosh darn it.
And you wonder why we don't have hair.
Yeah, that's what it is. I have this theory. It's actually like a rival horse owner that hates Bill Shively, and so he's sabotaging his soccer team to distract him from his horse business. It's all connected. Just think about it. It's a circle. It's a circle. So we're trapped in like the horse mafia situation, and then we're just innocent bystanders. That's all it is. It's what's happening right now. But it really does think. Reffing has been particularly bad for us in quite a few games this year. I mean, even in our club history, and again, every team out there, because I know like that's the first thing people do. Like, well, every team's had this. I get it. Every team out there has had terrible things happen that should not have happened at the hands of refereeing, and I totally understand. But man, we've had a lot. Man, we've had, and like especially too, it feels like at home, every team that flops, like the refs just believe it. And I'll give Monterey Bay credit. They didn't do too much. There's a couple guys that tried it here and there, but like Las Vegas, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
Oh my
every five
Vegas,
goodness.
seconds. Like
Vegas,
saw a guy
man.
punch Bradilli in the face, and then like the next moment they fell down. They're like, he broke my hand, ref, and they're like, oh, yep, Bradilli red card. You know what I mean? It's just all the things they were doing. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like you're
Mhm.
seriously doing these scummy things, and then you're gonna drop on the ground the moment somebody on our team even like breathes your way, like,
Yep.
and that's happened in a couple games, especially home games this season,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man,
Yes.
what the heck? What
Indy,
happened to home field advantage?
yeah. Indy, it felt that way too,
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree, 100%.
where we would
It,
just touch them, they'd fly, and and we'd
Yeah,
get a foul.
it
Yeah.
happens at a lot of home games for sure.
yeah. Dylan knows because he's screaming at him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, ref, what are you doing?"
So I
It's
I
music in my ears.
on
I
on
love it.
that note, I did my best to channel my inner Dillon at the game on Saturday. Obviously, it's big shoes to fill, but with
You did good. You scared my son. It was good. That's how I knew you were doing it right. My 3-year-old was crying, so I know you were doing your best Dylan impression.
but yeah,
Why
you
is
got
Jessica
you.
screaming?
I feel like you have a few sayings, like, or one is like, "You can't do that." You'll
I don't.
And then it's not really a saying, but hey, come on, hey.
So, I mean, like a lot of the time, I'm doing it just to like do it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
right,
I know, like I always know, like I'm wrong. Like if I'm yelling, like I always know that I'm wrong, but I'm just doing it to like, hey,
rile,
I
yeah,
gotta. I
love
gotta
it.
Rile
start
'em up.
something. I gotta get in their head, you know.
Yep.
I just feel like you're a character in a Sims game, and then somebody's pressing like the emote button, and they're like, "This is the A button." Hey,
All
it's
I
great
took from
though.
this conversation is I need to come up with new catchphrases.
No, we like them as they are. If you come up with
Okay.
new ones, you can't sit with
Exactly.
us.
Okay.
Then
Yep.
we'll know that you're posing. We don't want posers over there by us. Get out of here,
He's so
Dylan.
self-conscious now.
No, we're saying we
No.
love it. It's the best. It is.
No, I won't. I won't even think about it.
He
Okay,
will. He
good.
just
Okay,
go.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did not harsh his mellow at all.
Yeah.
We Dylan is forever. He's infinite. And
Yep.
so is his screaming at children at Spokane games. What are you talking about, Timmy? It was the yellow card. I did the thing again. Did Tim. Sorry, Tim. Apparently I need to get like a new default name. Oh, geez, we're having too
Goodness.
much fun. It's because Kyle's not here. All right. He's not here to keep me in check.
That's
He's
true.
not here. He's not here to slap my hand and be like, "Stop it! Stop it right now!
Oh man.
We're in public, and you need to act right." Okay, so thinking about what's coming for us, we got 2 draws where we had clean sheets. Amazing. That is really, really good, especially considering Monterey Bay's position in the table. But we were also scoreless ourselves in both of those matches. Our next matchup is against Loudon. So
That's gonna
that
be a
is a
tough
tricky
one.
one.
They're
They are
like the
first in
hot
the
team.
East. They are
Mhm.
they are spicy. They're hot lava. First in the East. I think what aren't they first overall? Like if we
Yeah.
were to like go between the two, 18 points so far.
Yeah.
So they're cruising. Now, a little bit of a wrinkle in this too. This isn't a regular match. It's our first Jager Cup match.
Break it
So
out. Take the
Jager
shot.
Cup is upon us. Everyone.
Oh.
A shot for glory, right?
Yes, a shot for glory. I wonder if they're still using that hashtag. I haven't seen it. I feel like just the league has been silent about the Jaeger Cup, even though it's like right here. Whereas last year, every 5 seconds, they'd be like, "Who's ready to take a shot at glory?" And I was like, "Yeah, you asked me 2 minutes ago." And they're like, "But are you ready now?" And I'm like, "Yes, I told you. I'm ready
You're
for a shot
still
of glory."
ready?
Yeah, I promise you. So we got that. It actually even stuck up on me. I was like, "All right, Loudon's up next," and I was like, "Oh wow, Jaeger Cup match." So last year, for anybody that's like new to the whole Jaeger Cup thing, there was no championship involved. It was all just like a League One competition. That's it. So things have expanded. Now League One is involved with championship side. So combination of the two. And then we're all thrown into groups. In those groups, we got to take on whoever comes our way, which happens to only be 4 of the 6 people in our group. So we are in group 5, if I recall correctly. So our other group members, just a quick reminder for everybody, is we have Charlotte Independence in our group, a USL 1 team. We have Loudon, who we're getting ready to play. We have Lou City. So that was kind of like the weird gift that the league gave us since we're in the West and we can't have a true rivalry with them. North Carolina FC out of the championship, and then another League One team, the Richmond Kickers. So my Kickers friends, if you're listening, I am going to be upfront with you. I hope that we beat the brakes off of you whenever we play you because of like the drama from last season where it was like being insufferable about us potentially getting like the wooden spoon. Coming for revenge. Hope you're listening, Yogi. So we have those people in our group. We're only playing 4 of those. First one is going to be Loudon, the hot team in the league. Now, just more clarification for everybody, because the Jaeger Cup changed from last year. So even if you are familiar with Jaeger Cup from last year, couple of tweaks. One constant being that we do not have draws. There are no ties in the Jaeger Cup. So if we manage to get to the end of a match and the score is tied up, we go to PKs. Winner of the PKs gets 2 points, right? So just one thing to remember from last year, where it gets a little bit different. We do have one group winner that makes it out of each group. So out of the 6 groups, there's one winner per group. That is the same, except for the fact that we don't all play each other. We only play the 4 teams out of our group that we drew. We have 2 home, 2 and away. Okay. Now, beyond group winners, last year, it would be whichever team scored the most goals would also get out of the group stage. This year, it is the 2 teams that score the most goals get out of the group stage. So even if you're terrible, you could be dead last in your group, but score 500 goals, and then you're still moving on. So there's potential for us to move on, even if we don't win our group, which is a very tough group. If we're being honest, like we might have the toughest group out of everybody. Just for the simple fact, what is it?
Sorry, do the goals scored include penalty kicks?
No. That would be cool, though. Man, there we go. All right. If the league is listening, include PKs. And then everybody will just wait to go 0-0 and just have a perpetual PK competition. They'll go through like 8 cycles so they can have 80 goals. Wouldn't that be crazy?
But sorry, I mean, didn't mean to stop you.
No, that's good clarification. I love it. But I mean, I don't know who could argue this. Like, I feel like if I ask this question to like people who follow the league, who could say that we don't have, in my opinion, the toughest group with Loudoun and Lou City in it? Like, that's a very tough group just for the inclusion of those 2 alone. I mean, Charlotte can do things whenever they're fired up. Richmond has actually been really good this year, in my opinion, which has been a little bit of a surprise. Like, I was like, wow, I'm actually doing solid. North Carolina, they do pretty fair. It's a scary group. Well, and not only that, but we have to, like, out of the 4 teams or the 4 matches that we're playing, 2 of ours happen to be Loudoun and Lou City. So we have like the 2 teams that are probably like, if we combine forces, some of the scarier teams to go up against to get out of this group. So, man, Loudoun, what are we thinking with them being where they are and kind of having the hot hand?
Oh, man. I mean, like, I don't know what to expect because, like, we lost to Columbus Crew too, so, like, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter the competition, so even these League One teams can screw us over. So, and the fact that Loudoun is so, as you said it, Tyler, spicy right now, I worry about our chances in this game.
Yeah, same.
It's a tough one to go against. So we actually had somebody ask us this. Like, we didn't really have a lot of time to collect questions because this was kind of like a game time decision for recording tonight because life is life. But at the same time, somebody was like, okay, what are we doing as far as our lineup? Are we going a little crazy like we did with USOC? Are we going out with like, this is our number 1 lineup, this is who we're rolling out? I know that this is a separate competition, but I think it's very, 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 very important that we do well in it. We underestimated USOC, and I don't hate that we tested things out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm really glad we saw the players we did. I'm glad that we kind of tried to feel things out. Absolutely. But we need to be very sure that the players we put on the field Saturday are the players that we are like, this is it. This is our lineup. Because even though it's a separate competition, this is an opponent that is very, very tough in our league. And I think we need to show like an actual like statement win. I think this needs to be a statement game. And, I won't hate it if it ends up being like a draw. We go to PKs, we win that way. That's all good and great. That still counts. It's cool. But I would love to see us win outright with this one. Because I think right now there are a lot of question marks about our team. People are high on us in a lot of ways, more so than last year. I feel like fewer people are being hard on us this year than last. But I think people are still being like, okay. But like, when are they going to really fire up? And I think it's time to be like, okay, now. Like, this is when we're firing up. And it needs to be against a team with a hot hand. If we can beat the number 1 team in the league currently, that's going to raise some eyebrows.
I worry what it would do with us, what it would do to us if we lost this game, like what that does to the morale,
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And, I will say going up against a team that's doing so well, you have to kind of look at it through that lens as well. It's like, oh man, they're like really going at it right now. So I don't think it would hurt as bad as like losing to Columbus Crew 2, where it was like, oh man, dang, they played like 15-year-olds and we got beat. But it still wouldn't be pleasant. So I don't know. I mean, are we kind of all in agreement that like best possible lineup is what we'd go with? Not too much experimenting.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I was going to touch on what Dillon said as far as
Yeah.
morale is, as far as the home games we've had, the past couple, it's been so draw. Wait, yeah, I'm trying to think. A loss and a draw. So, as far as with having a new team and like getting buy-in from the fans, like you get the ones that are going to be there no matter what. But the ones that are still deciding if they want to continue supporting is I feel like having a win, or at least, or at least maybe drawing again, I don't know, is what we, I think, need to continue to get the buy-in from fans.
Yeah. And based on like how Loudon's been doing, this isn't a game that I feel like we can get by with like, just saying like, let's settle for no goals and a clean sheet. I think this one's going to be a little bit of a tougher test in those regards. I think we're going to have to score goals to get any type of results. Because I don't know that I see us making it to end of regulation at 0-0. So if we go to PKs, it's because we both scored and managed to equalize with each other, not because we both held each other off. I don't really see it playing out that way. And I could be completely wrong, but that's not the vibe I'm getting from what's coming to us. So
I would agree with that.
It's got to happen. I think this is the game. We proved that we could kind of tweak our defense and shore things up a little bit against Monterey Bay, who is number one in the West. Great. That's awesome. It's very encouraging. But this is the game where we have to show that we've been back in the lab and now we have our goal production figured out. Like it's there, and we're going to make these shots count, and we're going to take them often enough that it counts a lot. So Loudon's going to be a tough one. It's going to be intense, and they're going to be hopefully a lot of people there because they had the youth clinic beforehand. So I know I signed my kid up for it. I know you did too, Jessica. So and then Kyle signed Dillon up. So he's gonna be there too.
I am
Proud of you,
12.
son. Yes, you have the paper, right? The
Mhm.
one that we drew up for you. I am 12. But I mean, hopefully there'll be a lot of people there for that. And then there's like the post-match concert, which they've not done before. So I think that's kind of cool, and maybe will be a nice draw. And so it'd be really, really cool to have new fans show up for those types of things, and then us to be able to leave and say, "Hey, I know you're new to this match, and maybe even this team, but we actually just beat the top team in the league as it stands right now." That would be a cool thing.
Well, and then just tagging on the note as far as like buy-in from the fans is there might not be a lot of people that follow the entire league and don't know that we're going against the best team in the league. And so I feel like that makes a big difference too, as far as like is getting the buy-in. Is like they're there to get result. They want to see the results. They're not necessarily, they might not be as invested in like the standings and all that stuff.
We just gotta like prove our horse dominance. Then with their Pegasus, we are also some amazing mythical horse, and we will defeat your mythical horse, and that's all there is to it.
Well, we have thunder and lightning, so
yeah, we have two mythical horses.
Right, so that's like Thor, right?
Yeah,
we have the demigod.
yeah. So whatever, get out of here with your Pegasus, like whatever. Played out. Thunder and lightning, though, that's fresh.
Yup.
I know. We need like a cool like derby name for this, though. If only it happened enough, because they're in the East and we're in the West. Yet again, another missed opportunity by us being in Pacific time zone.
But there will be a pretty quick turnaround though between this game and us playing them again.
It's true.
So
yeah, it's fair. We'll have to come up with some like weird little like horse derby thing. but we'll solve that problem somewhere else. Somebody listening right now is coming up with a phenomenal idea, and we'll use it. I don't know very many Loudon fans, so I can't really pick their brains on it. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I don't know any before people come for me. Okay, so tough match. It's going to happen. Ladies are away again, so got to watch from our phones wherever we're at, or post up at home. But hopefully everybody's out at the stables. I hope a lot of people signed up for the youth clinic. I think that was a really cool time. Last time that I participated in it with my kid. Of course, it was freezing that day. Hopefully the weather is a little bit better this Saturday. It looks like it might rain, but
I know,
you know what?
yeah.
Let's soccer
Chance
without
of
some rain. Whatever.
Dylan looks a little nervous.
We'll get him his poncho. It'll be okay. he'll be fine. But I hope a lot of people show up for that one, and I really, really hope we get a chance to show what we're all about, and that this team can do it. We can pull it off. We can score some exciting goals that aren't stolen from us by refereeing, and then we just kind of move on.
It's hard to play against two opponents,
Yeah, It's true. It's true. Darn horse mafia. Final thoughts before we sign off and let everybody get hyped for the game and get ready for the Pony Derby or whatever it is.
I don't know.
No. Cool.
Perfect. Or last note is that May 1st, the game against Louisville.
Ooh, yeah.
Immediately right after that, LSC put out, they have a road rally. So just a little plug for that. In case you don't want to drive to Louisville, you could get a ticket to ride the bus from the stadium to Lynn Family Stadium for the Louisville game. And then they'll bring you back. And I think it includes food and a couple drinks. Or
and
a
scarf.
Food. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. A commemorative scarf.
I forgot it comes with a scarf. Now I gotta do it.
Jessica's putting in a request for off work. All right, please excuse Jessica. She cannot make it because she is very ill.
I think
Signed,
I feel
Dr. Crane. Who's Dr. Crane?
I feel like cold.
The Scarecrow?
Yeah, that one. That's what it is. Yes.
But yeah, so and I think of it from a safety perspective. One, you don't have to drive, and you can kind of go and enjoy yourself a little bit more. Obviously, you have to drive home after they bring you back, but at least it kind of gives you some time to recover, and I think it'd be fun just riding with other fans. So
yeah, you mean
just
recover
a little
from
plug
eating
in for that.
All the cheeseburgers that they serve.
Mm-hmm.
Try one of each, and then that way you don't fall asleep at the wheel because you have so many cheeseburgers.
Exactly.
I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Are we talking about cheeseburgers that were hiding?
Yeah.
I won't bring that up.
Who hides full
Wendy's biggie bags in their jean jacket? Not me.
I've never heard of that ever in my life. That's a fake thing.
I definitely did not hide a cheeseburger and chicken nuggets and french fries in my jean jacket.
No, people don't do that. That's not a real thing. It's a myth.
It's never happened.
Another one. All right. That was a good plug, Jessica. I can't make the road rally because I'm going to be coaching a game myself. I feel like that's been every game. People are going to be like, he's lying. Yeah, I do have to coach another.
He secretly hates the team, and he doesn't want to go to the games anymore.
This is actually just it's a big op for me to infiltrate, and then I'm going to take one of those USB drives and enter it into their system, and it's going to corrupt everything and destroy the club. And then I'll rip off my shirt and I'll have purple on underneath and it was you the whole time. And I'll be like, New City.
You're the reason we've been having such bad luck.
I have indeed been slipping the refs checked out books from our young readers section. So that has been the payoff. They've been like, man, I've been really looking forward to this one. And I'm like, I got you. Just remember next match. I'll get you Percy Jackson next. Man, what a lame payoff that would be.
Oh my goodness. On that note.
Right. All right, everybody. Continue to support the team. When the ladies
man.
come back, please show up to the stadium. It's going to be so much better weather. They finally had a good weather game. More good weather games are hopefully coming, barring any sort of rain. But you know what? Just be like us and just embrace being soaked in rainwater for 90 minutes. It's fine. Eventually, you just feel like you are part of nature and none of it matters anymore. So just embrace it. And then, of course, come out to the men's matches. Look for all these promos, too. I think everybody keeps maybe like sleeping on some of these promos that are being floated out there, just like how there's like the youth soccer thing this weekend, along with like the post-match concert. So keep looking for all those really cool opportunities to come out and enjoy extra stuff on top of the match and hanging out with a bunch of cool people, fellow fans. Okay? So I think on that note, we're feeling good. Everybody support the Greens. You know what it is. Come on, you Greens.